Newshour Special Edition.
Welcome back. National outrage grows after 11 rapists of Bilkis Bano were released and given a hero's welcome. From bureaucrats to legislators to ex-judge who sentenced the rapists to life imprisonment, more voices are batting for Bilkis Bano. Their only demand is to put the sexual predators who inflicted trauma on the victim back in jail. IS officer and secretary to Telangana Chief Minister Smita Sabharwal said that Bilkis has the right to breathe free without fear and that the rapists were allowed to walk free is extremely shocking. K. Kavita, TRS MLC, in a letter to the Chief Justice of India, has asked him to intervene to save the nation's faith in law and humanity. She appealed to withdraw Gujarat government's decision. 3 Congress MLAs from Gujarat have petitioned the president to direct MHA to put the convicts back in jail. Even retired judge who sentenced 11 accused to life imprisonment also said that felicitating rapists is setting a bad precedent. Let's first listen to these voices.
हमारी डिमांड बहुत साफ है कि राष्ट्रपति जी इसमें इंटरवीन करें। वो केंद्रीय गृह मंत्रालय और राज्य सरकार दोनों को ये बात कहें तो हमारी डिमांड ये है कि उनकी माफी को परत लेना चाहिए और उन गुनहगारों को वापस से जेल की सलाखों के पीछे भेजना चाहिए।
आज अगर बलात्कारियों को निर्दोष सजा माफ की जाती हो तो ये गलत है। उसमें राष्ट्रपति खुद रस ले कि दोनों सरकारों को फिर से इस पे पुनः विचारणा कर के अपराधियों को सजा मिले, उसके लिए
हमने महामहिम राष्ट्रपति जी को पत्र लिखा है। हमने मांग की है कि आने वाले दिनों के अंदर जिस तरह से जो हिंदुस्तान का बंधारण है, जिस तरह हिंदुस्तान के अंदर बंधारण में सबको हक दिया है, वो हक को जिस तरह से आज तोड़ मरोड़ के जिस तरह से डिस्टर्ब किया जा रहा है, देश की एकता को तोड़ी जा रही है, इस तरह से ये गुनहगारों को छोड़े जाएंगे तो लोगों के अंदर, कोर्टों के अंदर और जो प्रशासन के अंदर लोगों का विश्वास उठ जाएगा।
If you do not consider the theory of retribution, keep aside retribution, apply the theory of reformation, correct their behavior.
Right.
So reformation means what? Person must feel about what they have done, no?
Correct.
That's it. What else? Otherwise it amounts to saying that the judicial decision was wrong. And bad thing is their public felicitation also. What for they are doing it? I don't know.
And it is turned political also, of course. Now, in an exclusive interview with Times Now, the chairman of the remission panel, Sujal Mayatra, says the panel members unanimously voted for the release of convicts. He says that backlash over remission is an individual perspective. Mayatra maintains that the conduct of convicts inside and outside the jail played a part in their early release. Earlier, BJP MLA C.K. Raulji, who was one of the members of the panel, said to Mojo Story that the convicts were released because they were Sanskari Brahmins. Another panel member, R.M. Patel, refused to comment when asked about the early release of Bilkis Bano's rapists. Meanwhile, Bilkis Bano and her family is completely shaken and numb. Her husband too is taken aback with this travesty.
केस में जो आरोपी थे, जो सजा भुगत रहे थे, उनको छोड़ दिया गया तो हम बात सच मान ही नहीं रहे थे। लेकिन उसके बाद हमने पूरा सच देखा तो बोला हम एकदम से बिल्कुल शॉर्ट हो गए। फिर हमने जाकर बिल्किस को बात ऐसा हो। उसके बाद हमने ये चीज बिल्किस को बताया। बिल्किस एकदम से मायूस हो गई कि मेरे साथ क्या हो गया। आज मेरी 18 साल की लड़ाई एक ही झटके में खत्म हो गई। संस्कार क्या था क्या नहीं, जब तक लीगल पेपर नहीं देखेंगे, हम भी हमारे पास भी इनके क्या नेचर था वो सब था, वो उसकी भी कोशिश कर रहे हैं। उनके बाद हमको पता चलेगा कि इनके साथ जो न्याय प्रक्रिया जो चलाई है, कौन से व्यवहार पे चलाई है, तभी पता चलेगा।
Let's go across to our guests. Binay Singh continues to be with us. We're also now joined by Congress leader Lokesh Jindal. Binay Singh, is this really justice in the true sense? And it's not just Congress leaders who have petitioned the president, asking the president to also intervene. It's people from all strata of the society. The ex-judge involved in those reactions, bunch of reactions that we played out, where the ex-judge is saying that this is going to set a wrong precedent. Of course, the release, and post that the felicitation.
Look, we must not, differentiate for anybody on any ground if such heinous crime is committed against anyone. This is heartening, and my heart goes out. And this is really bad to see that, the convicts, when they are released, they are being greeted. But again, what I want to make a point that this is a technical matter. So suppose they are a convict. So when they complete 14 years, there is a provision, and that provision is, same for all the states, that the jail, authorities, the jailer, the DC, means the accused, if they belong to a particular district, so the DC, the SP, they all needs to give a report. So the DC, SP will give a report, and the jail prasasan, the jail authority, needs to submit a report that yes, in the last 14-15 years, what was their behavior. So based on this report, the release is decided. See that they are going to be released or not.
Yes, what Lokesh said is also a very pertinent question.
Let me complete my point.
The constitution of the panel, and the presence of BJP members on the panel.
I have two questions to ask.
Yes, Lokesh,
first of all,
Lokesh, let him first answer that question and come to you. Go ahead, Vinay Singh.
No, I was just discussing about the technicality, that this is the technical process. So those who are in the panel or not, I have not seen the member of the panel, that who were the panel members, but these three reports, they have a major role which decides the release, that they will be released or not. That is basically based on their conduct. And again, the local police station, the local DC, the SP, the local police station, they give a report on the vulnerability, that if they comes out,
okay, but then if we are talking about the technicalities involved, didn't the centre in its guidelines say that no such remission benefits should be given? No such remission benefits need to be given, Lokesh Jindal, especially to convicts in cases of rape and murder.
See, first of all, the Supreme Court, I don't know how, but then it asked the Gujarat government to apply the 1992 law so as to have these culprits, have these accused remitted. But please tell me, has the state government amended Section 376 Clause 2 in any manner? If it has not amended, then don't you think the Act of 2014 should be applied rather than 1992? Secondly, when you are talking about the panel to be constituted, whereby two members, two legislators or two people from civilian life are to be considered, don't you think both the members, rather than being BJP legislators, should have been some form of civil activists or something to do, some people from the NGOs are representing the civil walks of life? No, both of them were hardcore BJP legislators. And secondly, the claim that the committee put forth the decision unanimously, it was almost like 10 out of the 10 members, 4 were BJP legislators, rest of them were bureaucrats, the IG giving the character certificate and all these forms, it looks like an utter sham. And moreover, in April itself, the Supreme Court came out with a clear directive that in cases of remission, the state cannot act arbitrarily. And there has to be certain guidelines on which the state has to act. None of these have been followed, and it's shocking. How come such people, after being released, they were felicitated?
Absolutely, and that exactly is what the ex-judge also highlighted, Vinay Singh, that it sends out a very, very wrong message and it sets a bad precedent. According to some, convicts in such serious, heinous crimes will now look at this particular decision, the remission granted to the 11 convicts of Bilkis Bano rape case and the murder of her 7 family members, will go ahead with such pleas, would want to take benefit of such remission policies.
Look, I again repeat my stand that I feel bad for whatever I can see on the screen. But again, I accuse the leaders of the Congress and the other parties that they are even selective on such sensitive issues. So very recently, what happened in the post-war violence in West Bengal? An 80 years old lady was raped, and But these guys were silent.
For acting.
Sir, you are selective. You want to further the fault line of this society. You want to create a rift between the society. You want to create a
party.
One second. How is it selective? Then are you saying that the ex-judge, the TRS MLC who wrote to the Chief Justice of India also selective? Are you saying that the civil society members are also selective to point out that this is not justice?
I'm not saying that.
How does it matter who's raking up the, at this point of time, at least in this particular case?
I am opposed to those facilitating those rapists. I am strictly opposed to them.
Why are you not opposed? Why are you not, Binay Singh? Why are you not opposed to? Why are you not opposed to the panel that granted this remission in the first place?
In West Bengal?
Binay Singh, you're saying you're opposed to people who felicitated the criminals. But what about those who let them out? Who let them walk free?
Binay Singh ji,
just
allow me to come in,
just a minute. Have I ever said that I support the panel? Have I ever said that I support the panel?
But you are not condemning the panel either.
Let me make this clear.
Binay Singh ji, politics से बाहर आइए. आइए आज humans तो बनते हैं हम. Humanity का साथ तो दीजिए आप.
वही मैं आपको भी बोल रहा हूँ सर कि ऐसे इश्यूज पे पॉलिटिक्स मत कीजिए. इस देश की जितनी बिल्किस बानो हैं उनमें भेदभाव मत कीजिए आप. मैं यही कह रहा हूँ. Don't differentiate.
All of us as Indians, all of us as the members of the civic society. It is a matter of shame for all of us, we being men.
मैं वही आपसे कह रहा हूँ. Be serious on what you have just said.
Sir, get rid of the party
lines. ये कह रहा हूँ
it
is a sensitive issue, and we must not fight on the screen on that.
Sir, it's not about fighting on the screen.
Sir, I am not opposed to you. I am not opposing you.
Okay, Binay Singh, what do you have to say about the Sanskari Brahmin comments made? Very unfortunate comments have also been made. According to reports, one of the panel members said that the convicts were Sanskari because they were Brahmins. It's unfortunate that all these angles are being brought in.
They had been coming on parole. They had been allowed by the state government to go back to their
what
homes
I
on
want
parole.
to say, just a minute.
But
Just
still,
a minute.
There were
Just a
certain
minute.
forms of,
So do you feel that anyone
to such a heinous crime,
anyone
and now
sensitive
BJP
will
is
support
playing
that
politics just
comment?
before the elections?
Nobody will support. Nobody will support.
You are going to play elections on this? Is your political party has got down to this level? Don't you have other agendas?
You know, Binay Singh, in that case, because I spoke to Bilkis Bano's lawyer and I asked her very specifically, what about the legal option now? Will you be approaching court? Shobha Gupta asked a very simple question. She said, why should Bilkis Bano approach the court? Why shouldn't the agencies that investigated the entire matter approach the court? Why shouldn't the center approach the court? Why should it only be Bilkis challenging this particular panel's decision? Do you think that the center, the agencies that investigated, based on that investigation, of course, these individuals were, announced guilty by the court, shouldn't they approach the court and challenge this remission policy?
I think anybody who is concerned about that, who has a real concern for this, they must go to court. Even Shobha must go to court. Even my friend from Congress, he must go to court. So everybody who feel concerned for that, and why should not she go to court? If she feels that justice has been ignored or justice has been denied, she must go.
Justice was done.
Everybody must.
Justice was done by the court. Justice was done by the court, Binay Singh, when these individuals who were accused back then were pronounced guilty and were sentenced to life imprisonment. Justice was done. What has happened now is that decision of the court through the remission policy in a way was overturned, and the ex-judge also, in that particular reaction said, does this mean that what the courts decided back then was wrong? The fact that this remission policy benefit has been granted to these 11 convicts who will still remain convicts but will roam free. The family of Bilkis Bano is scared. The family believes that there could be retaliation. Weren't these factors kept in mind? Weren't these factors considered when the decision was taken? Is the biggest question that remains. Bilkis Bano's family also claims that no one reached out to them. No one even had a word with them about this remission policy being used and the benefit being granted to the convicts. You know, gentlemen, that's all the time I have. Thank you very much, Binay Singh and Lokesh Jindal, for joining us and for giving us your time. Thank you for being here on the Newshour.
The Newshour Special Edition.